How the rich work less and get more while most people stay stuck. Hi guys, my name is Tariq and welcome to my channel. In this video, we're going to talk about something that a lot of people don't really understand about basic personal finance and things like crypto and just the way the world works when it comes to basically the rich, who is basically, I would refer to the rich as the top 10% of the world's population that controls most of the assets, and then the other 90% of the population, which basically is living paycheck to paycheck or basically just hovering on water. And this is a topic that you're going to see a lot of people talk about. And of course, they give you the same standard responses. Oh, you need to save more money and you need to open a savings account and you need to live below your means. Hey guys, this is complete BS, okay? This is the same information you're going to find on basic personal finance websites. This is the same information that you're going to find from guys like Dave Ramsey, Susie Orman, and all of these personal financial advisors, but yet it's not really working. And, I can prove it. So just looking at some of the recent articles that have been posted online, we have an article on CBS News. It says most Americans can't afford a $1,000 emergency expense. 59%, almost 60% of Americans don't have enough to cover a $1,000 emergency expense. And according to Bankrate's senior economic analyst Mark Hamrick, said we are essentially a paycheck to paycheck nation. So guys, if this is like this in the United States, it's even far worse in other countries, okay? It's obviously worse in Latin America. It's worse in most parts of Asia. And it's feeling the same effects in Europe and in Africa as well. So this is really a global problem. Now, obviously, I'm an American, okay? I'm from Washington, D.C., but this problem affects all of us in the world. And if you guys have been subscribed to my channel, you know that this is a Bitcoin-focused channel, but it just seems like Bitcoin has done so much for so many Bitcoiners like myself since I first got started in 2019, yet more and more people don't get it. So in the future, we're going to be tying in more of these common traps and providing the solution, which is Bitcoin. Now, I'm not going to go out there and tell you guys to do anything complicated like start the next Amazon or start the next Apple or go out here and, become a professional athlete or become a celebrity and come out with a new rap song or something like that. I'm just going to give you the easy solution is to just move towards Bitcoin, save in Bitcoin. So let's talk a little bit about that. So like I said earlier in the video, I mentioned that I would refer to the rich as the top 10%, the talented 10th, okay? Now, W.E.B. Du Bois, he characterized this in the African-American community, but I believe that he's right about the entire global community. Out of all humans, there's about 10%, about 1 out of every 10 individuals that we would consider very talented or rich. And this is what you refer to as, of course, your successful entrepreneurs, your successful athletes, entertainers, business people, right? Doctors, lawyers. Most of the people that make up the high net worth individuals in the world. And the reason why these people make up the high net worth individuals is because they're usually really good at one skill. So for example, LeBron James is really good at playing basketball. Tiger Woods is good at playing golf. Tom Brady was good at throwing a football. Okay, Jeff Bezos was good at selling things online. So you kind of get my drift. So to get into the rich, to get into the talented 10th, you really need to just become good at one thing. But it's very difficult to do this, okay? Now, there's a principle called, kind of time input where you need to put in at least 10,000 hours to become excellent, to become great at something. And obviously, you can do that, okay? You can start, you guys are watching this in your early 20s, you can pick one skill and try to become really good at it. But it takes a really, really, really long time to put in those 10,000 hours. So I'm going to explain to you guys, while the rich are basically barely doing any work and getting more, while most people, most Americans, are stuck paycheck to paycheck. And the first thing to realize is that it's not your fault. It's not your fault that you were thrust into this position of having to struggle, live paycheck to paycheck, have to struggle in survival mode, have to not have enough for your bills at the end of the month. And that's because you've been sold a lie. And that's really the first step that you need. I'm not going to give you some BS step like most of these other, guys out here talking personal finance, like you've got to live below your means. That's BS. The problem was created really in 1971 when Richard Nixon took us off the gold standard and we stopped backing the dollar with gold. Okay, before that, there was a Bretton Woods agreement where each US dollar was backed by gold from the US government. And that's because we had been on a gold standard, before Jesus's time, before, even back in biblical times, people used gold and, of course, silver for transactions. This is sound money. Gold and silver cannot be created, cannot be destroyed. It can only be transferred. So it was like the perfect money. And then we kind of moved towards this digital age, and obviously, gold and silver is very heavy. You can't send it somewhere instantly. And we got away from that in 1971. So now what we've been using now for over the last 50 years, about is we've been using currencies. And this is why most people can't get ahead. This is why they constantly live paycheck to paycheck. This is why when they first get some money, they spend it, it's never enough. It's because what you're saving isn't sound money. You're not save when you save in the US dollar, or you save in the yen, when you save in the euro, when you save in the peso, when you save in any fiat currency, you don't have real money. You have a government instrument created by a group of government officials and bankers and things like that to basically keep 90% of the masses broke and dependent. And this is by design. This is why it's very important to understand that it's not your fault if you're in this situation. You've just been simply sold a bunch of crap. And the solution to this is to simply, after you understand step one, it's not your fault. Step two is to understand is you need to understand, you need to save something different. Okay. Now, what the rich do is the rich usually save assets. Okay. And while everyone else is saving liabilities. So, for example, the rich will go out and buy stocks, right, on the NASDAQ or New York Stock Exchange. They'll buy Bitcoin. They'll buy real estate, gold, right? They'll invest in a business. They'll buy, a stake in a company or some private company, try to take it public. While everyone else is simply spending their time acquiring liabilities, cars, clothes, jewelry, other than gold jewelry and things like that, shoes, the latest fashion trends, iPhones, right? Things that naturally depreciate over time. And what ends up happening is when you spend your time working for money, then you need to trade it, because we're all stuck in this same system where you have to trade your time for worthless currency. But it's what you do with that worthless currency, what you end up trading it for, that makes all the difference. So on this channel, I promote trading that currency for Bitcoin. And the reason why I say trade your currency for Bitcoin is because there's only 21 million Bitcoin ever in existence. Satoshi figured out in 2009 with the first Bitcoin Genesis block how to stop the government or any banker or any powerful politician, anybody from diluting and devaluing our savings over time. And that's what Bitcoin does. And it's nothing complicated. You don't need to go to college. You don't have to read a bunch of books. Okay, you don't have to spend a bunch of money on seminars. All you have to do is start saving in Bitcoin. And like I said, guys, if you keep doing the same thing, you get the same results. The bill of goods that most of these personal financial advisors and financial gurus sell us, it doesn't work over the long run. And this is exactly why so many Americans and so many people around the world are struggling financially. So what the rich do is they save things that appreciate, and everybody else buys things that depreciate. So how do you get on the other side? Well, you just simply need to switch to basically buying assets. But the best asset, in my opinion, is Bitcoin, because you can easily buy gold, but the returns on gold barely outpace the stock market. And you can invest in the stock market too, but you don't know which company is going to do well. Apple's done well in the past, but will it do well in the future? Who knows? But Bitcoin is the perfect asset that takes away all of the counterparty risk, takes away all of the things that we don't like about traditional assets, and it makes it rare, and it's easy to take your Bitcoin wherever you go. And you can see that even in cases of natural disasters, I point to some of the fires that have been broke out in the past in California, when they had floods on the East Coast. People started to understand that your house isn't as valuable as you think it is. Because in times of natural disasters, you can't eat your house. You're always going to need some good, substantial savings or emergency fund in case stuff hits the fan. And that's why a lot of the people that had all of their money in their houses and then they had flooding or fires and stuff like that, you literally are left with nothing. And then, yeah, you have insurance claims, but some people don't have insurance. And then it takes a long time for those insurance claims sometimes to process. So I just preach understanding that a lot of the wealthy people have been wealthy for generations. They've passed that money down. If you're kind of want to become the new rich, you need to study Bitcoin. You need to practice saving in Bitcoin. It's nothing complicated. It doesn't require a 4-year degree. It doesn't require you attend some expensive seminar. I don't have anything to sell you guys. It's just simply making the transition from saving in government currency into saving in Bitcoin. That's all you need to do. I think the best solution is very simple, right? If you're hungry, eat, right? If you want to gain weight, eat more food. If you want to lose weight, eat less food. It doesn't have to be any more complicated than that when it comes to Bitcoin. So I just really believe that this simple and short, concise video can really help open the door and open your mind to understand why the rich have these hard assets that maintain their value and everybody else is buying depreciating things that lose value. And when you invest in things that just lose their value, you always have to, you can't ever stop working. And one of the nice things about Bitcoin, if you really study Bitcoin, Bitcoin over the last 10 years has gone up more than 70% annually. And this is just, it just really boosts your purchasing power because the value of Bitcoin is just staying consistent and the value of the currencies is just nosediving. And it doesn't matter what Donald Trump does. It doesn't matter what Elon Musk does. It doesn't matter what any government official does. All fiat currencies issued by the government will go to their intrinsic value, which is zero. And the reason why Bitcoin will never go to zero is because Bitcoin is just simply, it's simply energy. It's simply digital energy, and energy cannot be created, destroyed, or transferred. So the idea that Bitcoin will go to zero is nonsense. It's simply digital energy that's sitting in cyberspace. You guys can check out videos from guys like Michael Saylor. He'll explain this a lot better than I can, but just understand that Bitcoin is just a transfer of energy. It's basically best called digital gold. It's not going to go to zero, but you can guarantee that all of these fiat currencies like the US dollar will all go to zero. You guys have seen this ever since the pandemic. Food prices, rent, everything has gone up while Bitcoin's value has skyrocketed as well. So the value of the dollar has gone down. The purchasing power of the dollar has gone down. That's why things like food, meat, eggs, rent, everything is more expensive. But the purchasing power of Bitcoin has gone up. Bitcoin went from around the pandemic, $8,000, $10,000 to now it's over $80,000. So saving in Bitcoin will put you more thinking like the rich than the rest of society. And like I said, the best time to get started is now. If you've been on the fence about Bitcoin, simply, get on a crypto exchange. I'll provide some in the description below and make your first purchase. I started with $20 in Bitcoin. It doesn't matter how much you put in initially. All that matters is you get started. Just think about when you guys took your first steps. You guys took your first step. You didn't know how to walk. Now look, now most of you guys can run and things like that. So everything starts small, okay? We all start out as a tiny little fetus in our mother's stomach. And then, after 18 years, we become an adult. So don't get discouraged on how much money. $5, $10, $20. It's plenty of amount to get started with Bitcoin. And just kind of transition from more so how the most people think to how the rich think. And that's like the best thing that I can give you, the best advice I can give you guys. If you really want to kind of get out of this, you're stuck in the mud rat race where nowadays people are earning $200,000 or more per year, say that they're living paycheck to paycheck. This is ridiculous, guys. Unless you're like a hip hop mogul or a professional athlete or a millionaire YouTuber, it's almost impossible to survive in this current economy. So do something different. Don't use the same strategy that everyone else is using and that's failing. Find people that have found success and they're breaking the mold, and that's exactly what Bitcoin has done. It will increase your purchasing power. It will get you out of the rat race. And then as you get out of the rat race, now your next goal is to go into the upper middle class and eventually to become rich. Now, depending on how old you guys are, for you guys, younger guys watching this in your teens and 20s, if you guys get started in Bitcoin now, by your 30s and 40s, you'll have more money than you know what to do with. And even for you guys in your 30s or 40s now, if you guys haven't saved much for retirement, or you just feel trapped and you're drowning in debt, and you're tired of working a 9 to 5, start saving in Bitcoin. Take action now. Don't just watch this video and go distract yourself with something else or watch another video. Set up a crypto account, learn about Bitcoin, start saving some of your money in Bitcoin. Me personally, I'm 100% into Bitcoin. Okay, I don't even own any fiat currencies, but maybe some of you aren't ready to do that yet. So just start where you are. Like I said, $5, $10, $20, just get started. And like I said, please subscribe to my channel. I'm going to be posting more videos on this, kind of tying in more traditional concepts with Bitcoin to kind of just allow people to understand the power of Bitcoin. And like I said, trading at just over $80,000 now, probably be trading well over $1 million by the end of this decade. So I hope you guys enjoyed my video. Give this a thumbs up and share it with someone if you like it as well. That's all I got, guys. Until next time, take care.